Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to create faux labradorite with polymer clay. And for today's tutorial I am going to use color shift powders, and for that you're going to need a green and a blue color shift powder, and then just gold mica powder. You're also going to need black polymer clay. Now I'm just going to pop those to the side and bring over a example piece, and this is a piece of real labradorite and is what I'm trying to imitate today. Now I would advise going and looking up different pieces of labradorite. As you can see, they come with multiple different colors of flesh. There's actually purple labradorite types as well. I do not have one of those, so feel free to work with whatever type you want. Now I'm just going to open these up, and you can see that it's going to look like white powder, but it actually has a nice blue tint to it. And the same goes for the green. And now, as I said, labradorite does come in different colours, and I do know that you can get different colours of flesh powder. You could get a purple type if you wanted to go for a purple labradorite. Alright, but what you're going to do is, I would advise actually starting with the orange, or not orange, the gold, because you just want very small patches of that, and that's what you're actually going to work around, because if you look at the labradorite that I showed, there are very small areas of gold, and then you want to branch off from those. So definitely start with that, and you really don't need much. And I'm working on black because that shows off the powders the best. I definitely would recommend working on black. Now this is the first of two labradorite tutorials that I am going to do. Another one will come out fairly soon, in a couple of days, where I will show you how to do it with alcohol inks and metal leaf. It's a little bit more complicated, but personally I think the result is better, but I wanted to show how to do powder one as well. Alright, and that should just about do. Clean your brush off, you don't want any of that gold to transfer. Now I'd actually move the gold away. Then you're going to, before moving on to the next powder, grab a piece of paper and give it a quick burnish, and this is just going to secure the gold into place. Okay, so that none of the powders are going to be moving around. Then start with the green, and the green generally will branch off from around the gold, so spend a little bit of time kind of going around the gold. It does not need to be perfect, it's not a perfect ring, it's just generally that's where I find that it shows up. Okay, and just repeat that process, just going all around the gold. Okay, and there we go. And then also don't forget to add maybe a little bit, just kind of branching off, because it doesn't have to just be around the gold. Okay, and don't brush back and forth. When you are doing this, you want to tap it up and down, and this will create an uneven effect, but it also means that your colors aren't going to blend together too much. If you really want them to blend together, you can go in and just do a very gentle round burnishing pattern in exactly where you want it to be. That way you can be a little more deliberate with your pattern. Okay, now I'm going to pop that to the side, and I'm going to start on the blue. Again, clean your brush off. If you are interested in the color shift powders that I'm using here, and the gold as well, I do sell them on my Etsy store, Jessima Design. There'll be a link in the description below for that. I also have a purple version of these powders there as well, so if you're interested in creating purple labradorite, that definitely will work. Okay, and you basically just want to fill in the rest of the space with the blue powder, because that is the dominant colour that I want. It doesn't have to be your main colour. Definitely experiment around and see what you like. but that's the colour that I want to be the main one. Okay, and just fill that in, and don't be afraid to cross over to the other colours and blend it in a little bit. And then we can move on to creating the streaks. Okay, and there we go. Then take a piece of paper again and give this a thorough burnish. The entire surface needs to be completely smooth because your brush is going to have left streaks on the clay, so you want to smooth that all out. And this also burnishes the powder down onto the surface so that it doesn't move around as much. Okay, there we go. Then I'm going to lift that and show you what that looks like. And there you can see how already that looks really quite nice. You can imagine how this is going to look once we put resin on it. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly clean up any extra powder because I don't want that getting on the clay. Okay, and then from here, I'm just going to pop that down. And I want you to grab your big tissue blade. And I want you to just go across the surface like this. And don't worry about getting a perfect line across the whole thing. It's okay if it's uneven. That's actually something that you want. There we go. Then in some other areas, try to make it so that it's only in some specific other areas where you have a little bit of a crisscross. You don't want it going across the whole piece of the clay. And the way that you do that is you'll angle your blade slightly towards one end and then angle it slightly towards the other end. There we go. Just go over and add a couple of those lines. You really don't want too much. That's all I'm going to do. Then I'm going to take my craft knife, because if you look at these pieces, they have those really nice thin lines, but then they've got a couple of these really harsh, sharp lines. And I'm going to do that with my craft knife, because I'm going to take the back of it, which is not the sharp part, and I'm actually going to kind of scratch across the surface like so that it's a little more dramatic. And you can't really get that with your tissue blade as easily. Okay, and I actually will just bring this over to keep an eye on it, because it's always best if you're trying to imitate something to actually have it close by where you can see exactly how it looks. Okay, and I don't want to overdo this. But all the lines seem to generally go in the same direction. Okay, and I'm going to clean this off because it does get a little dirty after a while. Okay, and there is one or two really dramatic cross-section lines that I will put through. Okay, and just play around with that until you're happy with the result. Okay, and there we go. I'm quite happy with that. Let me lift that up so you can see again. And there, you can see how that looks. And you can add more or less, it is completely up to you. Don't burnish this, you want to leave this exactly as it is, and you want to prepare to cut out your piece. Okay. And I'm just going to take that and place that down onto a tile that I can pop into the oven. And I'm then going to bring over the paper again. And I'm not burnishing it so much as I'm using it to press this clay down onto the tile so that it sticks. I really don't want to burnish out those cracks if I can help it. So don't do that too much. Okay. There we go. Then the cutters that I'm going to use are these two little ones. I find that when it comes to the stone, using smaller cutters is better. It helps with the realistic effect, or at least maintaining it. And then just take that and hold on one moment, I have a cat here. Just take that and use that to kind of scope out where you think it would look the nicest. And I think over here looks quite nice. And I'm just planning out the other one where that would go. I think here. And then this one will work over here. This will work here. Okay, and I pop both of them down so that I know that I've got enough space for each. Then cut down. Okay, then lift up like so. Okay, and then I cut out 2 more with the space that I had left. Then lift up the extra clay, and you essentially could mix that powder in. It won't affect the black all that much. Then again, take this and just use it to gently pat these down, making sure they're flat, like so. Just checking that, because some of them might have air bubbles, and I want to make sure it's as flat as I can get it, because I'm going to be applying resin, and the more domed the piece is, the more difficult the resin will be. So just take a little bit of time to potentially flatten it out a little bit if needed. Okay, and that will work. Cool. Okay, and then you're going to take those and you're going to place them in the oven for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. If you're using a different brand of clay, then use that brand of clay's recommended baking temperature. I also bake them for an hour from a cold oven. If your oven has been preheated, then you can bake it for about half an hour. And then when they're done, we're going to give the sides a very quick sand, probably the backs as well, and then we're going to apply resin to the front, and that's when they're really going to get that wonderful flash. Okay, and here they are out of the oven. You can already see they look quite nice, but now they're pretty much ready to be resined. If you need to give the sides a sand at all, then you can go ahead and do that. But these are pretty much okay. And I've got them on a little silicone mat here, and I'm going to be using this UV resin right here. Now, if you do choose to sand them at all, especially if you choose to use wet sanding method, then put them in the oven for about 5 minutes just to make sure that there is no moisture on the surface before you apply the resin, because moisture will make the resin bubble when it goes into the curing light. And I'm just applying a little bit of resin to the surface. You really don't need a lot. Then just spread that out like so. And then you're going to do that with all of them, and then you're going to pop that under a UV light for about 15 minutes to let the resin cure. And then I'll be able to show you the flash of the powders. There we go. I'm not sure how well you can see it from the angle you are. At the angle where you are, this is probably going to look quite dark, but that is normal. Right, do the others and then pop it into the UV light. Okay, and here is how it should look out of the UV light. And you can see there, as I move it around at different angles, it definitely catches the light at certain angles, and other areas it looks dull. And it's exactly what you want. Right, now I am going to assemble it. And so I've got a little eye screw, I believe is what it's called, or eye pin. And I have already pre-made a hole at the top here, just using a drill, just to get a starting point. But you're going to pop that there and then just twist so that screws into the piece. And you can attach glue if you want to, but I generally find that they're pretty strong. And then you're going to grab a jump ring, and I'm just using a teeny tiny jump ring. It is giving me trouble we go. Grab that, open it up, attach to the top of the loop, and then place your ear wire down and close that jump ring. And there we go, it's simple as that. And that is your earring. And then I have already done the other ones as well. So let me just bring all of those over. And you can see from the topper angle they don't really look all that flashy, but if you were to move them around, like for instance being suspended as an earring, and they would definitely catch the light. So let me bring over the Labradorite and see if I can catch that flash. There we go. Hold that there, and let me grab one of these and let me know how well I captured it. I think I did quite well actually. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have questions, leave them there as well, and I will answer them as soon as possible. And don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps the video out. And there will be another tutorial coming out very soon showing how to create faux labradorite, but with alcohol inks and metal leaf. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you'd like to support the channel so I can continue creating videos just like this one, please do consider becoming a patron. There is a join button below this video, or there is a link to my other patron account in the description below. Both are exactly the same, where I post more complex tutorials in regards to polymer clay. But yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed. I certainly did, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.